to a point, we hated war, and then we saw all these videos of them, ISIS and all this other shit. I mean, even before that, we were against war. So same with the
Yeah.
Americans. The Americans didn't want to go to war, but they see two beheading videos, and magically, they all want war.
Well, the American people don't want to go to war, but I think the top brass, you know, they've got their hands in the Middle East.
Yeah.
All the corporations, you know, they're the ones who want it.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
You know, it just makes you think. I'm not a conspiracy person, but certainly there's been certain people who, you know, have gave certain information throughout the years who sort of like talk about the American plan of, you know, what they want to achieve in the Middle East and that, and it does make you think that maybe there is something more to
There's a
what
video
we're being told.
on the internet which says there's this like really high up politician, or I don't know what he was. He was part of some influential system or something, and he said they would take all the like Arabic and all these countries all the way up to not Israel, the other one. Oh God. They've vowed to take. Oh shit.
John.
I know, right? They've vowed to take the one which Russia's done a deal with recently, Iran. They've vowed to take Iran. That's the one.
Yeah.
And you know, they're just, you know, they take who they want to take.
What was there's a certain book out on that, and I forgot the name of the author, but what this sort of bloke was going on about is how Israel and as a state, how that's wanted to sort of like expand its interests and everything, and how over the years the Americans, British have always, you know, tried to help it do that. That it's got a more wider, you know, plot on what Israel actually want to do in the Middle East. And we know what we're actually being shown, you know, there's no really evidence, but it just makes you think that, you know, Israel as a state is a new one, and for people who want to disrupt the Middle East, you know, making it Israel as a state so many years ago, how they did, you know, it's a good way to disrupt everything, and so yeah, still have influence in there.
Yeah. To be honest, I like the Israeli people as a whole. I've seen on the internet here, and I don't know any like proper Israelis personally or anything, but they seem like a good race. It's just the way they're like how the Jews and everything are clouded over in like this shroudy secret like cultish type of tarnish has been like put over their religion. And I know you have Zionism, but that's so in your face. You can't really have that as a cult. And I go through Facebook like sometimes, and I see like all this like it's like old Nazi German propaganda about the Jews. It's exactly like that, but they're using it in a more liberal sense. So I think any propaganda against any race or religion, anything like that, is criminal. It's horrible. But
I do agree.
If you were to put like a black guy with a big nose and big ears and all this shit, you would get like straight away you would get hate off the internet. But as soon as you put a Jewish man with a hat and a massive nose on there, everyone accepts like that type of Jewish propaganda. Apart from the Jews themselves, obviously, but it's
I think what you have to think to how do you define a nationality? Like, I never choose to be British. I was just born into this country. Like, you know, the Syrian was born in Syria, and African was born in that. You know, well not part of an African person was born in an African country, but you know, and it makes you think that, you know, what actually determined our thought about our nationality is, you know, the upper class, the top brass, you know, because they're the ones that actually care about the country's, you know, independence, its nationality, its wealth and everything. You know, I was a normal person, you know, has been sort of like fed about, you know, being British, how pride, and all this sort of like, you know, how honoured I should be to be part of this great nation and everything. But,
Yeah.
you know, I'm no different than a German, a Frenchman. There's only really top portion of the society who, you know, who an independent nation actually matters to, because if it wouldn't, that would affect their wealth and their power and their influence in the world. They're the only ones who really care about it. Really, I would get on with anyone, you know, in any country. All human at the end of the day, aren't we?
Exactly.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, it's a fundamental thing, really, because we've been raised to sort of not like ridicule other, like, say if someone's wearing a different clothing or someone's a different skin color. We've been sort of brought up in that type of way of thinking, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, you know, now it's coming up to the 100th anniversary of the First World War. You know what I sort of like read the other day, certain communist authors and stuff like that, what they's going, you know, during that time period, what they's going on about is how, you know, the common man never started that war. It was Franz Duke Ferdinand getting shot in, you know, Sarajevo. But yet, the true people who suffered, just because some pompous, you know, rich toff in another country got his head blown off. You know, it was millions and millions on, you know, common working people who probably would have got on with the Germans. The Germans would probably be able to relate to the English, to the French. You probably could have worked together. You probably have, you know, all similar ideas how they want to live their life. But just because they were sort of like born in a certain region of the world, they had to end up killing their fellow man in mass murder and slaughter just because, you know, the upper class told them to. And I think, you know, that's the greatest, like, tragedy of it all. It's just, you know, how we were just led like blind sheep into mass slaughter when we could, you know, what we should have realised is, hold on, you know, I've got nothing against that human being over there just because he's wearing a different uniform. You know, why should I end a human life just because some toffs in Parliament are telling me to?
Exactly.
You know, it's
we just need
I think that's,
all wake up and see the government isn't our friend. It has never been our friend. Well, it probably was, but it hasn't been our friend ever. The upper class are not our friends. They can obviously become our friends, but, you know, they have to.
they'd have to give up the wealth, give up their influence, what they want to keep, and share, you know, evenly throughout the people.
Yeah. I think you told me, I think it was in college, I think you said something along the lines of globalize everything, but something along the lines of that. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, I might. No, I think, yeah. No, I think if you ever would want, you know, world peace, you would have to globalize everything. Like, have one currency, maybe in some way one language, one common language, you know, one central system which would distribute welfare and everything, which is not really out of reach, because we sort of have got that now, you know, with the UN and places like that. But for it to work, you would need to have, you know, all races to mix in, you know, not one nation be native to one part of the world. You would have to have, you know, global sort of like race for it, mixing, and for it to work, I suppose. But
Yeah.
you know, you would have to give up certain things like religion. But you know, I think in the end, I don't know. It's just like a few ideas I had at the time.
Yeah, I was listening to, you know, Mark Dice. Like, he's not a conspiracy theorist, but he's so adamant that the Illuminati exists, and they're going to bring in a new world order and all this other stuff.
He's on cracking.
Yeah, well,
He's
it's
a
not
smackhead.
really cracking. It's completely against
No.
like the idea of conspiracy. But he believes that organisations and etc. exist. But
Yeah.
and they want to create the world as like to make it their one world order, sort of like the humanist thinking. But they want to like actually physically control it by like militarization of police and etc. like that. But it's so far fetched the idea of actually having one world order.
I would find it hard to believe.
What do you say?
I would find it hard to believe that there isn't certain groups in this world which are planning things. I think there probably are certain people and certain organisations, either secret or in our faces, who are having the final say in a lot of situations around the world. But I don't think they are going to make this new world order like this sort of like Big Brother state where you're going to have tanks come past your house and soldiers, interrogate you all the time. Because I think we're probably already living in it. We are already living in a new world order. They're probably making their money, their influence in the world is already here, and we just haven't realised it.
Yeah. It's quite complicated, this human stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is when I wish I was a jellyfish or a worm when we have conversations like this.
I saw.
Something which is just there, doesn't kill anyone, doesn't care about anything apart from just living.
Yeah, I went to a fucking museum the other day, and I saw this like white-tailed golden eagle, and I just I wouldn't mind being an eagle. Just just fly above everything, get away from everything. The only priority is catching a mice or whatever they kill and eat, or even I look through a field of cows and think, I wouldn't mind being a cow, to sit there and graze grass all day, but unfortunately, I'm a human.
I would say thank you, evolution, but I don't believe in evolution. I would say thank you, God, but I don't believe in God. Well,
you don't believe in evolution?
What?
You don't believe in evolution?
No, I don't believe in evolution.
What? So Charles Darwin's theory of how we evolved throughout the, millions of years and stuff like that. You don't believe in that?
I don't believe in anything Charles Darwin says, even though he's appeared to be like one of the most greatest philosophers of all time. But people before Charles Darwin spoke of evolution, and they're not recognised, but it's sort of evolution in a different sense rather than Charles Darwin's method of evolution.
Yeah.
But
Charles Darwin
is the biggest racist. If he like even closely believed in what he believed in about evolution, he was the biggest racist that ever lived.
Yeah, I know, but
what? Sorry.
I know. He was I know he did have probably some extreme views, but I do believe in evolution. So on certain animals, on certain aspects, I never really have read any of his books all the way through and everything. I've only sort of picked up bits which I've heard of people in science classes and stuff like that. But certainly, I do believe in sort of like evolution itself. But I can't. I know. I don't think, even if he was a racist or not, if he said what's true, and it's the truth,
Yeah, but in the modern world today, we don't know what's true and what's lie. So.
No, but the only alternative, for what from Charles Darwin is, the spiritual, belief that we was descended by Adam and Eve, or came from mud or clay or whatever.
Yes, but I can't believe that. I can't believe in both of them. But
no,
I don't know.
It's fair enough. Well, it's not necessarily urgent, is it? Like, we're here now. That's all what really matters. But I suppose things like that doesn't really, we need to have to start fighting over, does it?
Exactly.
But no. Well, no, I do. No, so I think a lot of what Charles Darwin said, I can believe, but
Yeah. All right. What's going on RT now then? What's on there?
I don't know. I got some prisoners on there now. Oh no, I think they're going about was it Colonel Gaddafi's son, and because he was quite influenced he had a lot of influence in the country and everything, and then he was captured by the rebels, and I think he's getting the death penalty or something. Or he's facing it.
Really?
Yeah. Well, Libya's a bloody. Well, that is a cock up, really, isn't it? And that's a bit of an understatement. But we sort of went in there, blitzed it, and now what you got on there is just extreme Islamic, fascists.
It's almost as bad what we did to North Korea.
Yeah.
But that's still in
another
shit
place
now, really. North Korea.
Yeah. No, we sort of like that's sort of like the Americans are solely blamed for that. I think. Don't run. No one. I don't think any leader, especially the original Kim Jong. I forgot his last bit. The original from that sort of like family. Who was in charge of North Korea in the 50s and that. I don't think he ever wanted to put his own people through misery and bloodshed, which they are through now. I think because of America isolating that region, and not allowing anyone else to trade or do anything with them, that's caused North Korea to be very isolated and very hateful against all the rest of the people. The Americans would have opened up and made better arrangements, then it wouldn't be such a state it is today.
Exactly.
The people are suffering because the totalitarian regime was in place there. I wouldn't call it communist. It's not communist at all. Nothing. Never say in the Communist Manifesto that you should have like a royal family how they do, because a father dies, the son takes its place. It never says in there that military should be the prime sort of like authority in the region either. But again, it's just people find it's like what's his name, Animal Farm. It's a perfect example of that. If you ever read that, it's quite a good book. That sort of like talk about how a good idea like communism and other regimes can soon become sour if the wrong person take charge of it, like Stalin or North Korean leaders, and they can soon use an idea which everyone agrees with and which is meant to be pleasant at first. They can soon twist that to gain power and have create corruption in a region. And
Exactly.
there's this North Korea's a perfect example of that.
I think it was Korea or China, but somewhere like that. They pay other people, other like normal people, to like assault and sort of make them like a nuisance of themselves. Say if there's like a demonstration. I think it was in China actually. They have sort of like aggravators, but they pay the aggravators to intercept the rallies.
Yeah.
Like, make the rallies more extreme and etc. And then just cause riots. So at the end of the day, the rally is called off.
It's probably in China, because I don't think they're allowed any protests in North Korea. That would surprise me if they, anyone actually protests against the government there. But I bet certainly in China and places like you had Hong Kong recently.
Yeah. What a shame.
Which used to be owned by the British, and which was quite a successful sort of like region under the British. Because it came under our control and our rights and everything. But we gave it back to China because we follow the agreement what we made so many years ago. But of course, China's got their own system of doing things and that, and you know, you're going to have, of course, they're going to protest against, you know, the harsh like regime which China have, and you know, it's just it wouldn't surprise me if the Chinese, you know, did put extremists in there to make the world looking in at it, thinking, well, you know, and protesters deserve harsh treatment, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
No one knows.
No, I just want a little farm, little house, just get away from it all, or have my own island.
Yeah, I know, but that's not going to help the problem, is it? That's gonna add to it. Since we think the way we think, that would be wasting the sort of our ideals.
Yeah.
What Michael Rupert used to say. Yeah. He used to say, if you have like the idea to fight politics and diplomacy and how your country is run, don't shy away from it. He sort of said, face it, you know. But it's quite hard to do when you only got two people.
Yeah, certainly. You know. But we will get more. People will wake up. They'll think, yeah, this is the time when we take back what's ours.
Yeah. I hope they wake up.
Yeah.
But, well, they're busy surviving. They're busy surviving like your mum and dad are, like my mum and dad are. You know,
Yeah.
work in the Oracle, you know. Pay your tax, get paid, pay your tax, get paid. Get food, pay your tax, get paid, etc.
Exactly. As I say, as soon as the government one day will be unable to keep distributing welfare, the NHS, you know, taxes go up because of some global issue around the world or someone cocked up along the line. That will be the day when people think, you know, when there's fighting in the street, when there's isolation with certain groups of ethnic people, when the countries start to become divided, when mass unemployment is, you know, quote, regular, that will be, you know, when people start to realise, well, you know, our regime, what we're living in, isn't all what it's up to be.
Exactly. Yeah, but, you know, the powers that rule now aren't as stupid as we hope they are. They know it's going to happen, so they're going to put countermeasures and all this shit in place. They're going to have, you know, other leaders ready to lead the revolution, to speak of, and then bring in the old way of thinking.
Yeah, but, I know what you're saying.
Sort of an endless circle, and it's quite hard to break away from. But I believe we could do it.
Yeah, well, you know, as I say, when I was in the army, you know, for 7 months or so long, all the army is normal people like you and me. You know, anyone can join that. But yet the government solely relies on that to keep law and order in even our country or countries abroad. But you know, at the end of the day, and people are just, you know, normal people from the streets. They aren't gently made test tube babies or, you know, Spartan warriors or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and institutions like the police and like that, you know, I think if something kicked off and a soldier or policeman see the suffering what their family's going through at that time, they're not going to stand by the government. They're going to stand by their, you know, fellow human beings.
Exactly. I hope they do. But you know, nowadays they can grab you by the balls. Like they can sort of twist what you perceive as real. Sort of, the police see us as troublemakers, normal people as troublemakers, and they see themselves as the shining guardian angel, and the government is their quote god. But you know,
certainly.
Yeah, go on. Hello.
Certainly in institutions like the Royal Marines, like the paratroopers, like most of the certainly in the British Army and in the Royal Marines and other things, they have this way of saying, "Oh, they're civvies and we're soldiers." this sort of like self-conscious thought that, oh, we're different than the normal population, they're just civvies, we're just soldiers. It's quite a dangerous one, really, because you're isolating them. You're taking away, their actual, humanity by classing them as a totally different group. Taken away from the civilian, which at the end of the day, they are civilians, but they get given a uniform, they get given guns, and they have, work under more disciplined conditions than normal people. That's all they are. But yeah, they always sort of like try and, say, oh no, you're elite, you're better than the rest, you're more disciplined, you're more smart and everything. And all that might be true, but you aren't better than the normal people. You are there to, stand up and fight for the normal person, to protect the normal person. And certainly when I was in the army, I never sort of saw any of that. I saw, officers in the British Army always go on about, how much better we are, how much, smarter and more disciplined and everything. And I just think, I never really liked any of that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with a lot of the British Army ways. That's why I left. But, certainly things like that used to annoy me.
Yeah. Quite hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You want to be a patriot and back up your fellow human, but then you're a terrorist then, aren't you?
You are, in a way, and that's the thing. You don't want it's a hard decision. Or I never liked the idea of leaving the army and like being like a weakling and like a traitor. But in the eyes of them, yeah, I am. But self-consciously in myself, I think, well, I'm not really, because I don't agree with them. I'm not a monarchist. I can't, the day I think we got rid of the royal family would be a great day for the station. The day we start going to the Middle East and, declaring war on, extreme groups, be a good day, and it will stop countless lives being lost. But,
Yeah, the solution is very hard to find, but I'm sure with enough thinking and enough research, you'll be able to find, and anyone will be able to find like the proper way of life for humanity. But at the moment, this is definitely not the way forward.
I think the common people have already found it. Just this idea of just, contributing towards the, contributing to a wider system. Either paying your taxes or working in a way which you're helping everyone else, but also getting what you deserve, what you can live on, enjoying life. Always constantly learning, finding way new things, variety. I think that way of living is what we need to concentrate on. But it's not being concentrated on, and there's certain people who are greedy and are gluttony, who want the finest, mansions and cars and foods. They're the people we need to sort of get rid of.
The thing is, that's all programmed anyway. Wanting cars, wanting food. Well, yeah, obviously you need food, but that's sort of natural. But having too much food, having too much money, having 5 different cars, having a massive house just for 1 or 3 or 4 people to live in. It's all just programmed.
When Israel first started as a state, you had a lot of small groups there, and they used to. I'll send you a link to it, and they were sort of classed as socialists in a way. They were sort of how they used to live. They used to live in these small communities. They used to, share everything. All the children who was newborn used to live together, used to go to school together and everything. And everything was sort of like, when you wanted new clothes, you go to the local sort of like clothes distributor, and they would give you clothes for free and everything. All the food would be distributed evenly. There was no sort of idea of money and everything involved. Everything was quite communal and sort of living together and, doing everything together. They would never eat individually. They would go to like this mass canteen, and they would all, eat, their 3 meals a day there. And, of course, when Israel, absolutely more in the early stages of Israel, when Israel became a bigger state, and I bet Americans started getting involved, and other states that, they started to become more national, and these small communities could no longer sort of like live how they used to because it was becoming hard for them to do so. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it.
Alright.
There's quite a few. It sort of talk about all the different sort of like socialism throughout the ages and that. It's quite a good idea. I'll send it to you now. It's quite a good thing to watch.
Alright. Will do.
Propaganda. They'll give a bit of truth, and then they'll probably just give more Russian propaganda.
Yeah, it's a flawed system, that. The Russians.
Yeah.
So is ours, I suppose.
I do admire the Russians. I think Putin, if we had someone like in charge of, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with, he is a corrupt, his system is built on corruption, like, all of his oligarchs and everything, but what he has, like, achieved for Russia, it's quite, and even the Russian people, they love him, his popularity there is like 80%, or, David Cameron and people here would only sort of dream of sort of having that, so what he is doing for Russia, he's very, giving them back their pride and a lot of honour and everything, but
yeah.
of course, the West don't like them because they're threatening their way of life or their money.
Yeah, their way of life and their way of thinking. As soon as that gets in jeopardy, they push out. Here's a human like us, and they're human. And they just think of it more on a ideological term rather than actually caring for the people.
Certainly, we sort of like, because what they do is they make us think as the Russians as the same as Putin. Like all Russians are like Putin. Why really, it's a stupid way of, it's like saying everyone in Afghanistan are like the Taliban, or everyone in Syria is like President Assad.
Exactly.
There's no actually concentrating on actually the real people there. People just like us. But you see, if they actually concentrated on them people and sort of like actually shoot the normal people, then we wouldn't even consider going to war with them. We wouldn't want to bomb our houses, so that's why I don't do it.
Yeah. Yes.
It's why I was watching this program about Afghanistan last night, and they say as soon when the war was going badly and everything, the Minister of Defence and everything was sort of like concentrating on the individual soldiers, how they used to sort of like concentrate on the individual soldiers' death and their sacrifice and everything. And as soon as they'd done that, then the people were sort of like, well, you sort of felt emotionally bound to these young soldiers and who was dying, and it sort of turned them, the people of the UK sort of like against the war in Afghan.